Hello, the name is Elon. On this channel, I have one single mandate. It's to make religion and theology a simple topic, something you and I can relate to. There used to be a time where the biblical corpus is reserved for the high priest. Those are the only people that can touch, read, recite, lecture from the biblical corpus. And now, everyone has a copy. So my effort on this channel is to bring all this dialogue you have been seeing online, Jordan Peterson arguing against Richard Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens doesn't believe in God, Alex O'Connor making his debunking argument up and down, Rationality Rule making statements and spotting out logical fallacy, and the likes. That sounds bogus to me at one point, but now I could understand what they are saying. But that's after 4 years of carefully studying the materials and listening carefully to what these guys have to say. And this is coming from someone like myself that is so studied in the text and grammar and the language of theology and English in itself. So my effort is to say, how do we bring down all of this so that you and me, that we are just starting out, can understand what is going on? What are they arguing about God? Why is there an argument about God in the first place? I thought there's a God and we all have agreed on it. The Bible is the complete word of God. Why is someone a Muslim and why am I a Christian? And why are there 2 billion Buddhists or Hinduists? Well, that's what I want everyone to understand. So in this episode, I'm going to take each theism, and break it down what it means. And I'm going to start with what you know, which is theism. Oh, or maybe you don't know it. Theism is the idea that you believe in God. There is one God up in the heaven that creates heaven and earth. Whether you are reading that from the Bible, from the Quran, from the Torah, from any of the texts that you are using. I think there is one text by the Undi. They call them, I don't know. And this is the point of this channel, is to make it not sound too grammatic. There are many texts in many religions. You may have heard of them before. All of them have texts. The Jewish religion called Judaism has a text called Torah. And the Christian added something to it that they call the New Testament. That's what makes the Bible. And then there are people who call themselves Mormons. They have Mormonism. They added another text to it that said the United States is the promised land. So, Mormonism. And then there's Islam that also called the Abrahamic religion. What they mean by Abrahamic religion is that it came from Abraham. So there's that too. You get? The Quran. Yeah. Al-Quran. So, Abrahamic religion settled. Anything that has Abraham as part of the corpus as its origin, Abrahamic religion. And all the other books from Hindu, I don't know about those texts. But basically, back to my theism school of thought. So, theism, if you get your idea of God from all of these sources, including the one I don't know, and you think there's a God in heaven, either that created heaven and earth, or just stays in heaven and don't necessarily create heaven and earth. Once you believe there's a God, then you are a theist. Then there's monotheist. Monotheist is the idea that there's just one God. Allah is his name. God of Christian is his name. Anything that you want to call him. Jesus Christ is his name. I don't know. Monotheist, just one God. So the Christian believe there's just one God, but he's of a tritate nature. That is, I don't want to use grammar like the rest. It's Trinity. It's 3 in 1. So Muslim, one God. Christian, one God, but has a nature of 3. So both religions are monotheist in their definition of who they are, in their look, in how they argue it. And then there's polytheists, people that believe there are multiple gods. The funny thing about polytheists is that they need to be king. There can be multiple gods, and then there's one supreme God. People that do Isheshe like B. Tracy, you could have seen him in some of the previous episodes. He's of the Isheshe camp, and they believe in multiple gods, Obatala, Shango. These are channels that can reach to their monotheist Olodumare. So that's polytheist, multiple gods. And then you could have heard of something like agnosticism. It's when you are doubting whether we can know of God or whether we have done enough to know of God, you are still in doubt. That's agnosticism. You know, it is fueled by what they call skepticism. It's your skepticism of the world. This is a philosophical inquiry mode. What do I mean by philosophical inquiry mode? It's like, it's a way for you to look at the world. Like, I can't be so sure of the evidence given to me. It's like, if I tell you that I have 4 heads, should you just believe me? So to the skeptic, it's like, no, you don't have 4 heads. My eyes doesn't agree that you have 4 heads. My touch doesn't agree that you have 4 heads. How do I know that you have 4 heads? They ask questions. Skeptics, they are skeptical of the truth presented before them. They can be skeptical towards religion. They can be skeptical towards science. That is, they can be in doubt towards religion. They can be in doubt towards science. They can be in doubt towards reality. Some of them are doubting whether the world is real or not. So these are skeptics. They do skepticism as a philosophical inquiry mode. And by philosophical inquiry mode, it means that I'm saying that what it means is it is a way they look at the world. It's not necessarily a belief. There are no apparent skeptic, like as a religious belief. But what you can find is agnosticism, which is a skeptic that is doubting the presence of God. That is doubting whether there's even a God. Right? The atheist type. Atheist or atheism. Atheists believe that there's no God. That's the strong people. But some of them are like, I'm doubting whether there's God, but I'm leaning towards the fact that there's no God. So that's why you hear something like, I'm an agnostic leaning atheist. Agnostist leaning atheist. Let's say this is the atheist camp. This is the theist camp, people that believe God. I'm an agnostic leaning atheist. You get? Agnostic leaning atheist. That's the idea. And then there are people that are like, I'm an agnostic leaning theist. I'm an agnostic that think there's God. I'm doubting it, but I'm thinking there's God. If you see anyone that is in dialogue and in debate and research, and they are most likely an agnostic leaning atheist. And then I've seen people that are agnostic still leaning. That's people like Josh. You know, is looking for evidence or proof that there's God, right? Other terms that you may see people talking about is something like ontological. You know, trying to establish the ontological truth. Ontology is categorization. Is what is true from what is false. It is what is the nature of this thing, you know, and is it true? And if you are heard of something like epistemological, is the source of knowledge. How do we perceive knowledge? Where is knowledge coming from? Let me break down for you something. Let me use these two. What is the epistemology of your ontological conclusion that God is true or God is real? What is your epistemology of your ontological conclusion that God is real? That question has a lot to answer, which is, what is your source epistemology? Your source. How do you come up with this? Where do you find the information? To have the ontological conclusion, that is the conclusion, the ontology, the mapping of God as a real thing. Now, my epistemology is the biblical corpus. That is the source of my logic. That says that ontology, that attract to the ontology reality, that says that, I conclude that God is real metaphorically. So you are saying that it is in metaphor that I think God is real. Just such as when Jordan Peterson say God is the ultimate fictional character. So when Jordan Peterson is saying something like, oh, God is the ultimate fictional character, he's saying that God is metaphorically or allegorically or paradoxically or any other figure of speech, I don't care. Metaphor, true. Ironically, I don't know. But it is like in the idea, God is true. So when you hear something like materialistic view, materialism is like in of things that we can touch, feel, see. So when Jonathan is saying something like, that's an impossible move or invalid move or something like that, what it means is that you cannot be trying to say you're an atheist and all you want to do is to mark God to how strong this table is or how real holding this mic is. So ontologically, when you are looking at it like in the nature of materialism, like that's the ontological inquiry you are doing. Like in real of real, like this, things that we can touch and perceive with our perception and our sense of living, touch, feel, taste. Can we map God as real as this? So when you hear word like ontology, that's what it means. Like what is real? What category does it fall to? The category of real like this, or the category of real in the idea? And the epistemology is that what's the source of your knowledge? Where is it coming from? Are you perceiving from what you can touch, feel, hear, or it is from what you can ideally conceive, what you can think about? So you can hear other things like semantic. Semantic is an argument about word. How are you using the word? Is it in its semantic usage? Semantic usage, language, use of language, word, how we carefully construct word. So when you are hearing something like semantic argument, there's this day, me and Josh were arguing about the fact that there's a Christ delusion, that Christ is deluded. He believes that everything is going to end in his time. So there's this passage, I think it's Matthew 24:34 or something, where he said, this generation shall see that there's nothing I said now that this generation will not see, that the end is coming and this generation shall see it. You can go and read the entire paragraph, the entire passage, if you think I'm cherry picking it. There are several things he said before. I said it will not pass. This generation shall see it. There's another contemporary translation that said, people of this time shall see what I'm saying. So we started having semantic argument, that is semantic based on language, that the generation is referring to is the generation of people, like people of adulterous nature, is like it includes all of us, including to this time. I was not saying no, that's not true. But that debate went on for a minute. Then when we saw the contemporary translation that said, okay, that people of these times, and I said, you see, that Christ was deluded. He believed that the end is coming while he was alive. At the end of the day, he said there's no sufficient evidence. So semantic arguments are very, very hard to establish. So other words that you may have come up with are like Stoicism. Stoicism is a philosophic inquiry, is a philosophic method of living your life. You will have seen something like Ryan Holiday saying, I'm a stoic. There are many Stoics that also believe in Jesus Christ and cool. I don't think Stoicism argue against other religion like that. It's a practice. It's a practice of, this is how to stand tall in time of trouble, in time of hardship. This is how to, it's a life practice. I think one of the people that we are proponents are like people like Marcus Aurelius, right? Stoicism, right? Stoic, right? So it's a practice. It's like how you can practice your life. I remember I told you about skepticism, like it's a philosophical inquiry method, right? That one is an inquiry. It's like how you can relate with the world, how you can, do your research. Skepticism. This one is like how you can live your life without necessarily having anything to do with religion. So you see something like Stoicism. You'll have heard something like nihilism, like you live your life as if you don't need anything. You will have heard something like minimalism, like you live your life with the minimal things you can find. So all these terms that you are seeing around is something you can look up in the dictionary. They are not complex. And when you see people throwing them around, and they are throwing around in a sentence and code, don't think they are that smart. They just understand the meaning of this thing. So don't be convinced by people of smooth saying. Let there be evidence, right? And the fact that people believe in agnosticism, atheism, doesn't mean you to take them as enemies of God. There's a verse of the Bible that said that a fool saying in his mind that there's no God. Most scientific inquiry, most medical things that you are using right now, most things are coming from atheists. And more crime have been committed in the name of God than committed by people that rationally believe that are atheists or agnostics. But here is a word of warning for you. Listening to argument on this podcast or listen to Christopher Hitchens, Richard Dawkins and co. Summaries and Alex Okona of this world, rationality rule, do not by any way make you immune to the reality of your society. If you are living among Muslims, don't go and be going around claiming you are atheist and then be stamping on their Quran. You are claiming their agnosis doesn't mean you should start going to every debate where they are Shiite Muslim. They will stab you. So because of that, please, everything you are learning from this channel, take it easy, right? Be calming down. Don't rush into action or start arguing with your dad or start telling. Be grounded in your knowledge. Ask questions in the comment section. If you have any question about faith, about religion, things you want me to talk about, things you want me to break down. There are many complex topics that you will see in relation. You see people talking about the narrative meeting the ontological reality, the transcendent. When you're hearing all those things, they are just grammar. Don't use those grammar to make your decision, and don't use those grammar to leap into acting out things that you cannot stand for. Take it easy, understand it firmly, know when you are capable to make those debates, know how to present it properly, and don't, because you are an atheist now, try to act strange and funny. You are still guided by the law, and you still need to respect human dignity and be rational. Let it fall within reason. I remain Elon Jobs, and thank you for watching this content. If you like this content, there are more content on the channel. You can watch here, you can watch this. They are going to give you full understanding of different debates that we have had on the channel. I hope to see you around.